Right. Welcome. Yesterday, 9th of June, we held our Accelerating AI conference at the Ridgeway Centre in Milton Keynes. In my view, it was a fantastic event with an excellent turnout and is growing in popularity every single time we do it. I'm joined on the call today by two of the speakers at the event and co-organisers, Andy and Lionel. And we just thought we'd jump on a call and share, I guess, some of our immediate reflections and takeaways from the session yesterday. So firstly, I guess, Lionel, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Lionel from Dragon Information Systems. We're a managed IT services business specializing in artificial intelligence and cybersecurity.
And Andy?
Yeah, Andy Paul. I'm the founder and CEO of a company called Flywheel. We're an AI deployment company, and love all things AI. So I'm super excited to be on and partnering with you guys on this podcast, but also on these series of events that we've done recently.
Thanks. And I'm Matthew Rigby White. I'm the managing director of Cube. We're a digital marketing agency going through quite a bit of transition and working out where we fit in this new world order of AI and agents and technology moving ahead at quite a pace. So guys, I'll just start off with, obviously yesterday we had the conference. It's the first of two now that we're going to do in 2026, which is, I think, testament itself to the popularity and the demand for more information about AI. But the first question I have for you was quite simple. What was your biggest takeaway or standout moment from the conference yesterday? Lionel, do you want to take it first?
Yeah, I mean, amazing to see it's our biggest and best conference so far. Lots of amazing vendors in the room talking about AI and where it's going. But for me, the takeaway thing was the enthusiasm in the delegates that attended, their desire really to get stuck into AI and to use it to properly, see change within their businesses. From all the questions that were being asked and the interest shown, it was really fantastic. And so for me, it just shows that there's such a desire out there for businesses to jump and implement AI. Really.
Yeah, I think for me, I think there's been quite a shift in just our journey, right? Well, this is our fourth event that we just did yesterday. I think previously it was very conceptual. It was very, kind of ideation and great from a conceptual standpoint. Now there was, and our poll, which we'll talk about, I'm sure, in a second, is evidence that people are playing with AI. They are playing with experimentation and pilots. So I think our audience and those that are in this realm of using AI want more, right? They see the value and they want more. They want to see things brought to life. And that's really encouraging because we've been doing this for a little while together, the three of us. And the conversation has shifted to, just slides on the deck to now like literally here or some concepts, some tools, some agents working in front of you. And that's really exciting and encouraging for us to see and for me to see.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. And my standout moment wasn't really one moment at all. It was actually all of the micro conversations that were happening in the room. Yes, between us and delegates, people who come along, but between each other, right? They were all sharing ideas. You could hear it in the room.
Yeah.
They were talking about their experiences, what's worked, what they're scared of, what they're anxious about, and just creating an environment where people can have those conversations with other business owners, because we're all kind of going through this thing at the same time, but we're all at different stages of a journey, right? There were definitely, and I think the poll points to this, which I'll get to in a minute. There are people at opposite ends of the spectrum, and then there are people that are somewhere in the middle of that. We had people in the room yesterday who their exposure to AI is very, very small. They're very, very early in their journey. And then you have the 5%, the 10% of people who are in the room. And by the way, they were still there learning stuff that are flying with AI, right? And there were conversations I had yesterday with people who were doing way more with AI than I'm doing with AI. And that's what's really interesting about this, right? You've got all of these people at different stages, all coming together, having conversations, sharing what works. And some of those conversations are tricky. Some of those conversations are difficult, but we facilitated that. And I'm so proud of that. I'm so proud of that. And I'm so proud that we're going to keep doing that. So I guess on that vein, really, one of the interesting things that came out from the poll was that 75% of businesses in the room were only just starting to explore AI, or they were doing early stage experimentation. So that might be pilots or proofs of concept. Did that shock you guys? Or is that broadly what you expected?
I mean, rewind back to the Microsoft Work Trend Index, I tend to base a lot of it there because there are a lot of productivity signals, usage, and of course Microsoft owns LinkedIn, right? So even more signals coming from LinkedIn and the use and the chatter. So very business focused. And it is very much aligned. 16% of businesses globally are these frontier businesses that are really using AI, which means that, a good proportion, 84%, which is not far off what was in the room, was really either trying to start the journey or had zero interest at all.
Mm.
And I think that very much reflects what's going on. And it was very surprising to me that that was the case. Also encouraging that it matches what the Work Trend Index is doing and saying, because it's something we can rely on. But we also know that 65% of employees, 65% of the people there do recognize that if they don't do something with AI, they have this fear of missing out, this fear of being left behind. And I think I think we're coming to that compression point now where people are saying, I've got to do something about this AI thing and I've got to start somewhere. And I think the conference spoke, a lot to those people in the room, and I think they took a lot away from it.
Yeah, I think there's a huge appetite there. I think the people in the room are that there was a like you said, Matt. There's a variety. The spectrum's pretty broad, right? You've got folks that are just dabbling with a chatbot, whether it's ChatGPT, Copilot, or Gemini, or Claude. But then the other side, at the other end of the spectrum, is the smaller percentage are actually optimizing for AI and actually finding its value in it. There's a journey that people are on, right? And that's why they've attended this event. And I think it's just a testament to just the value that this content has to offer, especially when we're talking about our next event, which I'm super excited about. I do think, though, there is also this concern around, what does it mean for how we think about future of work? And that's a big topic that I'd love to get into, because there's, so many aspects of that we should be also thinking about. I'm sure at the next event we'll cover some meaty topics around that as well.
We announced yesterday that we're going to make these podcasts a bit more of a regular thing. So maybe that's the subject for one of the podcasts, so we can cover that in a bit more detail. So thank you guys. I think just to add on that, as I say, 75% of people in the room are just exploring or early stage adoption, which does mean that 25% are well beyond that, right? And that, again, as you say, Lionel, points to what you're pointing at. I would just say that those numbers, actually, the difference in those numbers between our numbers and the index is likely skewed by the fact that the very people that are in the room are clearly aware of AI. They are wanting to learn more. They wouldn't have been there if they didn't, right? So there is a question to be asked about the people that didn't show up. Are they disproportionately disadvantaged because they're not even in the room trying to learn about the technology? So I think that's quite an interesting thing as well. And maybe if you didn't come along to the conference and you've heard about the conference and you've seen coverage of the conference, that make sure you're at the next one, which is in October. So I'll just move on from that. And what was also interesting from the poll was that most commonly the use cases within business at the moment was to do with business strategy and planning and production of marketing content. So things like blogs, social media posts, that sort of stuff. Now, that's not new capability for AI. That's been around for a few years, right? Its ability to do that sort of stuff. But only half were moving kind of beyond just basic text generation. So just wanted to ask you guys, what value do you think businesses are leaving on the table by only sort of experimenting with that sort of stuff? What more could they be doing that maybe they're not doing at the moment? Lionel, do you want to go first?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you look at the stats on how the majority use cases of AI, it very much mirrors what you're saying. And I think 50% or 49% of searches that were AI-based searches were all cognitive. Right? So that's research and analytics. Okay. Which indicates to me that people are looking to make decisions, and the searches are very much cognitive based in order to help them achieve an outcome. Okay. But that is still interfacing with AI in a way that's still a chatbot. You're still asking a question, you're doing a cognitive bit of work, and you're creating a bit of content off the back of that, or whether that's going to a presentation or going into an article or going to a blog or whatever the case might be. So, it's a phenomenal question, because the power, the leverage and the power in AI is not really just in the cognitive work. It's the autonomous ability for it to go out and do things for you. When we talk about acceleration, output acceleration, Output acceleration means you have something doing something for you so that your output is 5x, 10x, 20x, 50x. And that to me is where the real value in leveraging AI is. It's creating, Andy, was creating the first digital employee. You spoke about that at length. So, I think that's where the value is. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I would also say, just coming back to the blog example, Matt, right? You're saying we're seeing that evidence that people are just using it to write blogs. That same use case is going beyond the blog creation exercise, in that it's now, with agents, agentic proper agents that are multi-orchestrated, multi-workflow capable agents. They are not only just writing the blog, but they're researching the keywords, they're drafting, they are then actually crafting the right narrative, and then they're being posted right online. So that's kind of where the multi-step agent flow is actually actionable. And that's just one use case, right? There's tons of use cases, but I think there's a history that now was, I can write blogs with AI. Now we're moving with agents to do research, writing, and posting with human oversight somewhat, but that's kind of the shift we're seeing in that particular use case, if I was to be a little bit more concrete on where we're going.
Yeah, I think agents. Agents is agents and agency was the topic of the day yesterday, right? This new world where we can effectively give an AI agent an outcome that we're aiming for, and it does all the steps along the way to get there. So rather than work with a chat and say, I want to write a blog about this, these are the keywords to use, and give it all of that context to get anything remotely good out the end. And then, by the way, you've still got to go and post it yourself and do all the formatting and create the image to go with it, to actually what's the blog post for this week, and you get that all constructed for you, sent back, so that I said it before, AI assists, humans decide, right? You make that decision. That's the human in the loop there. And you have the ability to give feedback and add that human layer over the top. But it's doing that end-to-end journey. And that's, as you say, one use case. I think use cases are limited only by our imagination for this stuff, right? Just to add on that, one thing that also came out of yesterday was coding. And I think we've seen a step change in AI's ability to produce code over the last 6, 8, 10 months. And as we're speaking right now, people are using Anthropic's brand new model, which launched at 6 p.m. yesterday, the day of our conference, which had, by the way, loads of press coverage in recent months because Anthropic had come out and said that this model was too powerful to be released. They've put some guardrails around it and they've released it anyway. So, and I've had the privilege last night and this morning to just dabble with it. And I'm also looking at on social media at what other people are doing with it. And it's very early days. It's not even 24 hours since that model was released, but the coding capability has gone up a notch again. Right? So what does that mean in real terms? Well, it means that the power to create anything, theoretically anything, digital, is in the palm of people's hands. Now, we have to be very careful. We talked about that again at length yesterday about risk that comes with that, but the opportunity to have an idea, build it. I mean, I demoed an example at the event yesterday. In 3 days, built something that would have taken 6 months and 4 developers, right? And you can do that in a matter of days, and you can get to market quickly. So there's lots of opportunity for businesses now that are willing to adopt this technology and willing to adopt it aggressively. There's so much opportunity there. Do you guys want to add anything else on that?
Yeah, I mean, I spoke about it at length as well with after your session. I mean, vibe coding, right? It's become a massive topic, and these coding tools like Claude Code have enabled us, right? Just made it more accessible for folks that are actually non-technical, have no coding background, where literally in a couple prompts we have an application, and within 30 minutes, an hour, you can build a pretty decent working app. There's excitement around that because there's a lot of us, right, especially business owners, founders, SMEs, that have constantly coming up with new ideas. And now it's like, what if I could just build this? And Matt, you did that the night before the event, where you actually created the poll that we used in the conference.
Yeah. In an hour, right? It's
literally
crazy.
in an hour. And it's just like another example of just the accessibility factor of writing code with AI, and that vibe coding tool whether it's Claude or it's Lovable, it's GitHub Copilot. There's so many wonderful tools out there that just make it so accessible and cheap, and you don't need super technical experience. So it's really exciting. Obviously, there's a lot of risk around trying to think about that. 0 to 1 is great, and this is what I talked about. 0 to 1 vibe coders all go for it, right? When it's 1 to 1,000 users or 1 to 10,000 or a million users, then yeah, there's a lot of things to consider.
Yeah.
But the entry point and accessibility is just it's just changing the game.
Personally, as a small business owner, I mean, again, you touched on it yesterday. We all pay for so many different apps and applications and subscriptions for this and that. And I think we probably won't have the full debate right now, but it should be another deep dive, because I think it's going to shake up the SaaS industry as well. Because if our ops director is already talking about replacing our HR software for something that works a little bit more the way we work, and we wouldn't even have entertained that 6 months ago, right? We wouldn't even have had that conversation, because in the end, it would have been, but then we need to spend 6 months development time building it and loads of
Exactly.
resource and loads of cost. And now it's like, well, give it a go. See if you can, right?
I mean, here's the reality of it, right? Most coders at Anthropic, Microsoft, OpenAI have not written a stitch of code in the last 6 months. So we're talking about coders that live, breathe, their entire purpose in life is coding, have not written a single line of code. And that itself should tell you all you need to know. And I think as a non-experienced person, if getting to 0 to 1, yeah, absolutely fine. But what I'm also seeing now in the wild, that if your coding agents are set up correctly in the right ecosystem with the right pipeline, okay, you can undoubtedly simulate a project team of 6, 10, 12 people outputting code to the degree that would be acceptable by most, coding houses and software agencies you can think of. But that's in the orchestration bit, right? That's in the setting up. But that's the reality. I was worried about what our young people are going to do. And as I mentioned, at the conference, it is the best time now to be a young person, because intelligence has been democratized. They have these fantastic tools. They don't need to know how to code. They need to have an idea. If they have the idea, they can build it with almost zero experience, right? And take an example. If as a young person, you can create one application, one app that's really meaningful for 50,000 people, and you sell it on a subscription for £1 a month. Come on, that's all it takes, right? And we're now living in that era where all of this stuff's possible and within reach, right?
I think moving that accessibility piece, you're absolutely right, Lionel. Anybody now can build a product 0 to 1. It's fantastic. I think there's like or even for our next generation, the skill is less about that building that first of its kind product, and now about like how do I bring my skills, my business skills in that are somewhat not very tangible skills or hard skills. You have to build the soft skills, which becomes even more important. How do I build relationships? How do I build a business that's not just about the product first, and now the layers of things around operations and finance and to run a business, those are becoming increasingly important. So if you have the technical piece removed, or that barrier reduced, now for the next generation, the excitement is, well, that's kind of one area I can cover off with AI. Now how do I overlay that with all of the other soft skills that I have, or I can build on to really build a business, to build that app, to sell it to 50,000 people at £1. And so yeah, it's really exciting.
Yeah, I think there's still value in the human understanding of other humans, right? And psychology and what people want from tools, not just that you can, it's that people will want that tool, want that thing that you can build. And I think that's a skill in and of itself. I'm going to move us on, if that's okay, because we've got another question that I want to try and get through. So, sorry, bear with me a second. The question is, right, yesterday we announced the second Accelerating AI conference that's going to be held in 1 year, in 2026. That's incredible. It's going to be on the 13th of October. 2026, but that's pretty much all the details we have available for people at the moment, other than it is going to be part of Milton Keynes Tech Week. Now, the three of us, straight after this call, in fact, are going to have a conversation about some more of the details and what are some of the decisions we need to make. But it's fantastic that we've already got that backing of Milton Keynes Tech Week. and a date. So what I'd say is, whilst some details are still to be finalized, can you guys just tell listeners and those watching why they should attend? And if you can do that sort of in 30 seconds or a minute, that'd be brilliant. And then we can keep the time down. Andy, do you want to go first this time?
Yeah, sure. So I'm really excited. We've had like the MK City Council behind this, for a while now, and then they are so forward thinking and technology. We are in a amazing technological hub, representative of like tech in the UK, and to be part of MK Tech Week is just a privilege. Firstly, it's exciting because we're going to be partnering with lots more vendors. I think there's going to be a huge participation from some key brands, household tech brands that you all know. We've had Microsoft and Google in the past, and I think this is just going to go on and to greater heights. We will probably do even more demos. There will be a lot more value beyond kind of just hypothetical. And so as you start, businesses start to want to learn more as this technology also evolves more. I'm sure in 3-4 months time we will have even more to talk about, and the world has changed even more. It's just important for people, for businesses, for SMEs and business owners to really understand, well, where are we, what's the state of play as it relates to AI. So I encourage everybody that is interested in this topic to show up, be there, lean in, and also learn from each other, just like we're learning from each other.
Just to add on that, I mean, the next event is just over 4 months away. And one of the interesting things I shared yesterday and read in the last couple of weeks is that Anthropic put out a statement saying that the doubling time basically of model capabilities is actually dropping. And it was about 6 months and now it's about 4 months. So in real terms, 4 months from now, the model's capabilities will be maybe twice as good as they are today. And that's just bonkers, right? Just to think about that pace of change. I mean, look how good they are today. Like, wow. I think it's going to be really, really interesting the next few months and seeing how things develop and people use the models that have only just been released yesterday, let alone the models that are yet to come. So Lionel, can I just, same question to you really, why should people come?
Absolutely. There's no doubt we're living in the singularity, right? Absolutely no doubt. It's happening, and it's happening right now. Exciting time for everyone experiencing this, especially if you're a tech pod like us in a way. It's every single time we've delivered a conference, we've had so many new things to talk about, and I'm so fired up about it. We're reaching a point now where 80% of the code that's going into these LLMs are written by the LLMs themselves. Right. So recursive self-learning is nearly here. I am really, really genuinely excited to see what the possibilities hold in the next 4 months and the possibilities for businesses in our area. The reason we're doing this is to educate businesses and make sure that they're on their journey. And for me, that's the exciting thing. There's the idea of having workshops to bring people in so they can truly learn about what it's about and take something home and take something back to their businesses that will have a massive positive change, right?
Yeah, we definitely.
And also drag their employees with them, kicking and screaming.
Absolutely.
Make them part of the narrative.
Bring them all.
Yeah.
But no, I totally agree, and I think we are going to circulate a feedback survey for everybody who did attend yesterday. So if you're watching this and you were there and you liked it, you didn't like it, there was bits we could have done differently, that's going to be a really good opportunity for you to give us that feedback. So please do, because we will act on it, we will read it, and we will act on it, and we'll try and make the event as good as it can be for everybody. It is a diverse mix of people that come to this event, and I'm really proud of that. I'm proud that it's a diverse mix of businesses, from one-man bands to employers that have thousands of staff, right? And that everybody is affected by this. Everybody, at every end of that spectrum. And that's what's so unique, I think, about this conference. Like, yeah, okay, it's regional, it's MK based, it's got the backing of all these supporters, but actually it speaks to everybody in every sector, no matter what size or stage of your career you're at. If you're just coming into the workforce, come along. If you're at the end of your career and you're retiring, you want to hand the business off to somebody else, come along, right? And bring, as Lionel said, bring your staff, bring your friends or your business acquaintances, people you know, because you're actually helping them along that journey as well, right? So the more people you encourage to come along, we're definitely going to look at the format. We're definitely going to look at how we can shake things up and make things a little bit more interesting. Not that it wasn't interesting in the format it was, but maybe there's a different way of delivering the content. So we're going to look at that as well. Even the venue isn't absolutely final yet. So we'll get all of this news out to you as and when we have it. So I just want to close then by saying, if you'd like to be at that conference in October, whilst we haven't got all of those final details, all we do know and all we can tell you right now is the date, which is the 13th of October, 2026. You can grab You can apply or register for a pre-registration, I think it is, Andy. And to get there, the easiest way is to search for or go to acceleratingai.co.uk. On there's a link where it'll take you to the registration page and you can sign up for more details. And as we have information, we'll start putting that out. As I've said earlier on, we said it in the room, and unfortunately, it's out there now. We're going to carry on doing these podcasts, whether we like it or not. Now we've committed to it, so we haven't. I mean, being totally honest with the audience, we haven't agreed exact cadence and format, and that might be subject to change. But as and when we think we've got stuff to say, we'll put one of these out, and hopefully it's helpful to you.
Would also say, people that are listening, if you would want specific content, feel free to comment or just give us a note, send us a message, contact us, so we can shape this and curate it with the things on people's minds.
Yeah. Also, just to add on that, if there's anybody you would like to hear from, now we can't guarantee we'll be able to get those people, but if there's anybody you would like to hear from, or any brands you would like to hear from, maybe people we couldn't quite get to the Accelerating AI conference, but that we might be able to get their time for 20 minutes on a podcast, let us know that as well. And one of the things we will do is we'll also set up a LinkedIn group, because that'll be a really good way of you guys giving us some of that feedback and some of the content that you want. So we'll get that set up as well. I guess that's all that's left to be said is, until next time, see you soon, and watch out for the next podcast and the news around the conference in October. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.